It's been nearly a year since flooding decimated regions of Dodge County, and there's a chance flooding could return this year. An early sign of river flooding is an ice jam, and there's one that's been building over the last 48 hours near Scribner. Reporter Phil Bergman has more.
About an hour northwest of Omaha on Highway 275 sits the small community of Scribner, where on the Elkhorn River, a ice jam of about 3/4 of a mile long has been building up since Monday. As vehicles cross over the Elkhorn River, ice piles up in all directions.
I just saw all the ice backing up onto the bridge and everything, and I got scared.
Becky Hull is a Scribner resident. Since Monday, ice has been building up on the major waterway north of her hometown, spanning nearly 3/4 miles in length. Areas of water more than 100 yards away from the Elkhorn are freezing over. Flooding is still prevalent in nearby fields.
It just brought flashbacks of last year. You know, we were an island in Scribner, and you get fearing that again.
A couple of them on the lower end near the river are concerned.
Elmer Armstrong is Scribner City Commissioner. The community of 860 stayed dry last year due to 2 levee systems and a floodgate. He says while the ice is worrisome, it's the water underneath people need to pay attention to.
It lets the water through underneath, but everything builds up behind it and then starts branching out, flooding, and works its way back to the river.
Armstrong says while the jam may be concerning, the water levels have dropped since this weekend. The biggest concern to Scribner, like so many communities nearby, is the saturated soil and the potential of rain later this winter.
If the rains start coming right now with frost in the ground, and if the frost doesn't come out right away, everything's going to run, and you'll end up with something similar to last year.
Phil is joining me now in studio. And what was it like being out there? I mean, those images are powerful to see.
It was wild and scary at the same time. I went out with the city clerk. We drove around for about an hour, and he showed me the areas, and I get to this first area and I go, oh my God, and it's one of that field. And he says, that's nothing. And then he takes me to the bridge, and I've never seen an ice jam looks like this. Like Columbus last year when we saw the 8 Mile ice jam, it was more snowy. This was just wild imagery, and it's built up. All this is since Monday, which is wild that it's just built up this fast, and it's really scary for some of the residents in that area.
Yeah, how are they feeling? How are they worried about this? I mean, we heard them saying that at this point there are no specific concerns and they're addressing everything, but how are people feeling?
So I'd say it's more visually worrisome than it actually is worrisome. What people are worried about is that more ice jams could develop and that hypothetically this could grow and get even bigger over time. But as city officials have said, it's the water that's running underneath that's actually the worry on the ice jam. The ice is fine, but they're worried about that water running underneath it that could raise these levels. And if there's a rain that comes in or a warm weather, it could melt all this ice. And then imagine just dropping extra ice cubes into a water glass, it'll spill over, and that's how flooding can sometimes happen.
So something obviously they are monitoring and they are watching out there.
They're definitely monitoring this. They were out there. They've talked to Dodge County officials about this. It's only built up in 48 hours, and it's dropped since this weekend, so this could just get out and leave. I was more surprised with the amount of flooding just in the area. You go on I-29, and a lot of southwest Iowa, you don't see much flood anymore. And this area is still completely flooded, so the soil's really saturated, and that's what really worries me is, yes, the ice jam is bad, but having the snow, freezing water, and still flooded areas that are now freezing over and ice building on is definitely something we need to keep an eye on moving forward.
I know yesterday we were out at the National Weather Service. They held an informative meeting about potential for spring flooding, and they were talking about these ice jams. And if you see ice jams, they do want to hear about them and have them reported so that they can be checking them as well. It sounds like these obviously are being checked out by the county.
Exactly. And again, if you see anything that you're worried about, definitely talk to a county official. And the one thing is, I did see a lot of people pulling over to take pictures of them. These are on bridges.
Sure.
So make sure that you are in a safe area if you do want to look at an ice jam. But I would just recommend looking at social media for the pictures, and don't go take the pictures themselves, because these are very cold waters and it's very dangerous to stop on the side of a road to take pictures by these rivers.
Important to note, we have the video, so you can go to 3newsnow.com to check that out too. Phil, thank you so much.